Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. You're listening to Newcastle Fast FM with myself, Richard Coupland, and today's show is From Darkness to Light with myself every single Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And I'm joined by a special guest on today's show, brother Imran Hussain. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, bro. How's things?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, bro. Alhamdulillah. Very good.
How's that London life?
Yeah, it's good. Lockdown life, bro. More like same everywhere now.
Oh, no.
Sorry?
Is it raining? Is it sunny?
No, it's been raining the past couple of days. But it's starting to get sunny again. So I think inshallah we'll get another couple of good days. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, brothers and sisters, on today's show, I thought, as I mentioned yesterday on the show, bring brother Imran Hussain on, who is from IERA. And what's your role within IERA, Imran?
So my main focus is the UK. So supporting the Dawah across the UK. That's in the form of training, materials, health checks, and anything else we could do to sort of support them and just be there for them and ensure that the Dawah is progressing and it's going smooth. And so that's my main role. But I sort of dabble here and there in IERA as well. So I sort of help out a bit with Sahel, sometimes a little bit with Salahuddin, with campaigns, stuff like this.
Okay, nice. Alhamdulillah. So yeah, brothers and sisters, I brought brother Imran onto the show today to sort of put some questions towards him so he can sort of share his experiences of how did he really get involved with explaining Islam to the wider community, how did he get involved with IERA as an organization, and hopefully will inspire some of you guys, the listeners, to get involved, to get involved and to start sharing the message of Islam. So Imran, tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from, and how did you first think, okay, I want to start explaining Islam to others?
Yeah, so I grew up in a sort of typical Pakistani family. So what I mean by typical is where you're semi sort of religious. You do your Jummah, you do your Ramadan, but that's pretty much it. And so everything else is pretty much just like no different from just a regular sort of secular upbringing. So I wasn't too religious growing up. That got worse as I got into my teenage years. Just completely turned away from Islam. Wasn't even interested. I always talk about this where it's for me. It wasn't even about questioning God's existence. I just wasn't interested in religion. I just completely turned away. That led to several issues. I went through some rough phases where I was questioning life and the meaning and purpose of life, and then eventually. Alhamdulillah, Allah guided me again back to the truth, and I started practicing. And then for me, it was a natural progression from realizing and discovering Islam is the truth to recognizing and realizing that this message needs to be shared with other people now. It's almost like it's very natural to human beings. As soon as you know something's true and valuable, you want to share it with others. So it was just a very natural progression for me to want to share this with others.
Definitely, I think with myself as well, when I became Muslim and I found out this was the truth, and you want to tell someone if you feel like you've got the truth, you've got why you're here and what's your existence. It's only natural, like you said, to wish to share it with others.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So I got involved in giving da'wah. I was working at the same time.
What was that? What sort of things were you doing? Is it just like going on a stall? Was it online?
Yeah, so initially it was so in London. I'm from West London, so there's a place called Ealing. Some people probably are aware of it. Some people probably don't know about it, but it's a small little area or town called Ealing, and there used to be a team there, which was quite well established back in the day. So I'm talking like about 9 years ago or something now. So close to a decade, and they basically would do regular street dawah. So I just joined them. And that was my first year I spent with them, just getting used to the whole feel of things. Because it's one thing to know content and know arguments and know how to articulate Islam, but it's another thing when you practically go out and do that now, right? So that's a learning curve in and of itself. And initially you get really disheartened sometimes as well, because you realize it's not that easy. Yeah, right. It's not as easy as what the truth is and you share it and people accept it. Especially back then, it was far more rough, like in certain areas, people towards Islam and Muslims and their perception of Muslims. Alhamdulillah, since then, because of all the dawah tables that have been taking place, it seems like it's sort of people's perceptions have changed.
Yeah, so what years was that, would you say?
So we're talking like 9 years ago. We're talking maybe 2011
Okay,
time,
yeah, yeah.
around 2011, 2012. So yeah, things have changed. We've gotten much better as far as
Yeah,
people's
I think a
perception
lot
is
of
concerned.
differences.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it's down to just people regularly engaging with Muslims. There being dawah
Mm,
table presence, there being a presence of Muslims in the local high streets. So I think the dawah has a lot to do with the perceptions of people and how they've changed over time.
definitely. Okay. So you attending the sort of the Dawah stall on a regular occasion for about a year. How did that lead you to get involved with IERA, the Islamic Education and Research Academy, which is now is international organization with Dawah in many countries around the world, if I'm right?
Yeah, yeah. Alhamdulillah. So the way that happened was I was doing the street dawah with the East London team.
Mm.
And at the same time, I got in touch with a brother who is, mashallah, quite famous in the Dawah, mashallah. It's Ni'matullah. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, yeah.
He's been around for, mashallah, a time, and
There's
he's
actually,
very,
there's actually a picture of when I went on the IERA New Muslim retreat of him teaching me the Salah. So
yeah,
that's when I first met him. That was in 2013, 2012, I think. Yeah.
yeah, mashallah. He's a machine, man. He's been going for, since the beginning, mashallah. So I got in touch with him online, and we decided to do a Dawah day on Christmas or near Christmas.
Mm.
So we could just, speak to, our Christian brothers and sisters in humanity, share the message with them, just engage with people. So we did the Christmas Dawah day, and it was then that Sabur, I think, because we made a video trailer, Sabur got hold of the trailer, and he got in touch with me based on that video,
Okay,
and
wow.
yeah, so it was
So
from
you,
there,
so
bro.
you, so you didn't know Sabur back then?
No, no, no. He basically contacted me based on that video, and
Okay.
uh, and basically, he wanted to meet up, so we met up a few times. I went to the IERA Dawah training course,
Yeah.
and that was it. I started working, doing some volunteering with them, and then the rest was basically just fell into over time. Basically, I started working part time, progressed to full time, and then
Okay.
that's part. I've been full time with IERA now for about 5 years, I think, just over 5 years.
Okay, well, mashallah. So with your role within IERA, what's some of the main things that you do? You deliver courses, lectures?
Yeah. So I do the I'm instructor for IRA, so I do the Dao training courses.
Mm.
We used to do the advanced Dao training courses as well. We do campaigns. We do Dao missions, what they call the work called Dao missions, where we go into a local community, get in touch with the local mosque, and they basically, they want to do a program for 2 or 3 days. So we go there, do the Dao training course and new Muslim support course, and then we join them for the street Dao basically,
Okay.
and give them some practical as well. And yeah, so those are the main sort of outreach type activities that we do. And then there's a lot of some of it's office based work as well, where you're contacting the teams, you're contacting the guys on the ground, basically just ensuring that they're fine, if they need any up-to-date update training, if they need any more materials, if they need any
Mm.
other support. So that's what the sort of primary role
Okay.
covers, basically.
So you recently, if I'm right, had a debate as well recently.
Yeah, not too long ago.
How
I'm
how
not.
was that for you? Like, was that your first debate, or how
Yeah,
was it for
yeah.
you?
First formal
Public,
debate.
formal, yeah.
So yeah, I've been doing the debating stuff in Speaker's Corner for I used to do it
Yeah,
quite heavily back in the day, but I'm not much of a debater, bro. I'm not into debates too much. So I was basically it's supposed to be Hamza that was supposed to debate the guy,
yeah.
but then his debate was doubled up. So he gave me this one, and then his debate got cancelled, and then
Hmm.
basically ended up in it. It was good. It was interesting.
I think it's a good discussion. How did you prepare for it? Did you do a lot of reading, or it was
to, so to
or
be to be honest,
you knew the argument?
yeah, the topic itself is something that I'm focused on anyway. So it's something
Hmm.
that it's sort of my area of focus. So it wasn't too much as far as preparation was concerned. I did just go through he had a book. I read through his books, so got used to his ideas
Hmm.
and his views, and then it was just a case of having a discussion with him. Obviously, debates can get quite heated, quite aggressive, very rhetorical. So we try to sort of toe the line and keep it as civil as
Yeah.
possible. And I think it was good. No one was aggressive towards the other. We had a good discussion. Um, but yeah, I mean, debates, they have their place, and there's benefit to them. But like me personally, I'm not too much into debates, to be honest.
Okay. So what sort of advice would you give to somebody who obviously wants to explain Islam to people, but is really unsure about where to begin and where to start? Should they join a local Dawah group? Should they try and learn more knowledge? Where would you advise to start from your experiences?
Okay, so I would suggest to maybe go to a Dawah training course first, right? That's the first
Mm.
step. Now I think IDC have a Dawah training course that you guys do,
Yeah,
mashallah.
yeah.
IERA have a Dawah training course. We've launched our recent online training portal as well. I don't remember the link, but I will send it to you so you can share it with
But if
everyone.
you go on the IERA
Uh,
website, I think it's on there, right?
yeah, it's on the IERA website. Yeah, so it's a free online portal where you can go through our Dawah training course. That's the first point of call, I would say. Go through a Dawah training course. And then the next step I would say is just get active. Start engaging on some level,
Mm.
right? Even if it's
Okay.
your neighbors, your friends. Um, don't be one thing I would advise is don't be disheartened if you don't feel like you can do what you see normally happening as far as Dawah, which is street Dawah or Dawah tables. That's not what Dawah is only about. See what works for you, see what your personal, skill set is, what you're comfortable with. Well, just based on your nature, there's many ways you can express yourself in the Dawah. You don't have to do street Dawah. You can do Dawah online, you can do Dawah through blogs, you can do Dawah through writing, you can do Dawah through videos. Street Dawah is another option. Community events, etc. So there's so many options. There's so many ways you can get involved and engage in the Dawah. So keep your options open. Take it step by step. Go through a Dawah training course and just do some practical. That's the best way of
Mm.
learning is through experience.
Definitely, because I think there's so many different ways you can do Dawah. Obviously, it could be on a stall on a Saturday or a Sunday. It could be online doing some videos. It could be writing articles. It could be sharing, even just sharing links of articles that you found beneficial or videos that you found
Yeah.
beneficial. And simple things such as speaking to your neighbors, speaking to colleagues. And I think them interacting with Muslims and really, being comfortable around Muslims, comfortable to ask questions. A lot of people can learn from that. So again, it's not
Yeah,
always
absolutely.
that direct. I don't know, on the stage speaking or on the stage giving a talk. It could be different angles.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever, like everyone has a different nature. Everyone's comfortable with certain things and not comfortable with other things. The key is to get involved some way in some way, shape, or form, right? I mean, if you're a very shy person, engaging online over social media, it makes it very easy these days, especially during this lockdown period. So you can get involved online, go onto social media. There's so many opportunities online.
Mm.
People are asking questions, and people are looking into, the deeper questions of life, especially these days, because, we materially people are are really well off, but there's still something missing. And especially during this coronavirus outbreak, one thing you're noticing is that people have been cut off from all of those things that they associate as far as purpose was concerned. My purpose is to make a lot of money, have a nice house, work my way up the ladder as far as
Yeah, material
work is
possessions.
concerned. Material goals and aspirations. So people are cut off from that right now, so they're in a very reflective mood. They're thinking about the deeper questions of life. Now is a perfect opportunity to engage with people and to share the message of Islam with people.
For you guys at IERA, how have you sort of changed your Dawah model? Obviously, a lot of it was in person. Have you moved it all online now, or what sort of things are
Well,
you
yeah,
guys
so
doing?
pretty much all of our activities online now. So what
Mm.
we're doing is we've got a daily live stream that we do in the IRA channel, which is basically we're covering the whole Go Wrap, our training course on there. That's one thing we're doing. We're doing I'm doing sort of live streams on my channel, or trying to do them regularly every other day or at least twice a week.
Mm.
We're doing more videos. We also have launched a campaign now called it's called the Viral Awakening campaign, where there's a few elements to that. So we're encouraging people to sort of just share Dawah posts and stuff online, use the hashtag a Viral Awakening, and along with this, we have a chat service. So all of our global outreach specialists, everyone's on lockdown, so they can't do their daily activities anymore. So
Yeah.
what we're doing now on our onereason.org page, we've put a landing page on there. It's called onereason.org/AVA. And basically what we're doing is it's all of our outreach specialists are on that page now, and they're acting as live chat agents. So we've got a live
Okay.
chat service. So any non-Muslims have questions, and if you know any non-Muslims, you can just send them there, and there'll be someone that speaks to them. And that runs 24/7, 7 days a week.
Okay, wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So
There's an
alhamdulillah.
opportunity for anyone to ask any questions and interact.
Sorry.
So I was saying, is that an opportunity for people to just go online, ask any questions that they have?
Yeah, for non-Muslims. It's for non-Muslims, but
Yeah.
they can go online, ask any questions about Islam, and there'll be someone there to speak to them and inform them, inshallah.
Okay, awesome. So Imran, in your time, on the Dawah stall and interacting with people, would you say you majority interact with Christians, or would you say it's atheists or agnostics? What do you normally see as a trend within the UK?
The biggest trend seems to be a type of agnosticism, right? It's a type of uh, a lack of belief, a lack of interest in the belief in God, right?
Hmm.
That's the majority. That's the sort of bulk. You obviously have some Christians, but most Christians these days you find that they've moved away from being practicing Christians.
Yeah,
They're Christian by heritage, they're Christian by tradition, but they're not really like what you consider
probably
practicing.
believe. Yeah, practicing.
Yeah, they're probably, if you were to sort of ask them and sort of inquire a bit, you'll find out that they're probably more agnostic. They're not really sure about God. They're not interested in the question of God. They're just busy with life, basically. Yeah. So what you'd consider materially busy people, they just focus on the life of this world. Just the standard: make more money, get more material possessions, have a good life. That's it, pretty much, right? The standard protocol. So that's the majority of people you find these days, I would say. But obviously, you have those.
What would you say has caused that? Obviously, going from the UK, I say it was a Christian country, people were quite maybe practicing. What do you
Yeah.
think's caused that change to suddenly now where people are very agnostic or not practicing or atheistic?
Well, I don't think it's sudden. It's been
Hmm.
taking place. If you look historically speaking, it's been taking place for probably over the past couple of centuries, since the Enlightenment. And those movements. There has been a shift away from traditional Christianity because prior to the 17th century, at least 400 to 500 years of Western history was dominated by Christianity, and it was a type of it was a very sort of orthodox Christianity, meaning that it was very closed off. There wasn't every aspect of society, every aspect of life was governed by Christianity, governed by the belief in God, and all of these things. So what happened was during the Enlightenment, people moved away from this traditional way of thinking. People became more secular, and people therefore, as they moved away from God, they became more focused on the material world and the material things around us, and then people just incline towards that, and the more you move away from God, the more you incline towards materialism. It becomes a vicious circle. The more you focus on the material world, the more you turn away from God, and that's why we see that what we see today is people are focused on the material possessions, the material life of this world, and they're not really interested in the question of God in any way, shape, or form. I think we lost you, and you're back.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro. Alhamdulillah.
Okay. So yeah, mate.
Yeah, no, but I was just saying that I think so. People went from that traditional sense of Christianity to more of a sort of over time became more secular, and there was an association that or a disassociation between Christianity and rationality, uh, and because obviously Christianity was very constrictive historically speaking, as far as free thinking was concerned, as far as being progressive and moving towards a scientific approach was concerned. The same issue didn't apply with Islam. But that's a separate story. So I think during the Enlightenment, people slowly started moving away, and then you had World War One, World War Two, which gave rise to some other questions people had, which they referred to as the sort of the irrational aspects of reality. And then you had these philosophical movements which stemmed from that as well. Existentialism became very popular in the 18th and 19th century, and then obviously over time, the more you move away from God, the more you incline towards and focus on the material world. It becomes, as I say, the vicious circle where you just become more and more fixated on the material world, less focused on God, the hereafter. And then there comes a time where you're not really interested in the question of God anymore. You just focus on the material. You're too busy. You're too busy to think about God, the bigger questions of life, the meaning of life, where you're going after this life. They're not of concern to you anymore. So you become this type of secular agnostic individual who's not really bothered, to be honest.
So what would you say? What would be the best way to approach somebody who is agnostic? They're not, maybe they're interested in. How would you approach them?
You're breaking up. Can you say that again?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm saying, how would you approach somebody who is not necessarily very atheistic? Maybe they're agnostic, they're unsure. What would be the best way to approach that person to speak about God and give them reasons to believe in a creator? Unsure.
Okay, so for one, we especially now during this outbreak, it's a perfect opportunity because people are already starting to think about these things, right? Because like we said, they cut off from all of those things that they were focused on from a material perspective. But generally, one thing you can mention is, death is a powerful reminder, bro. Like, have you thought about ask questions? The best way to engage with people is to ask questions, get to know the person you're speaking to. And when you realize, even amongst the agnostics, there will be many different strands, many different types of agnostics, right? Everyone's an individual. Everyone's beliefs are slightly different, right? Especially amongst the atheists and agnostics. Everyone has their own way of looking at things. So get to know people, ask them questions, ask them, well, what do you think the purpose of life is? What do you think? Why do you think you're here? What's it all about? Where are you going to go after death? Have you ever thought about death? When you ask such questions, you really engage with the person on a deeper level and you get them to start thinking. So as soon as they start thinking, and then you can engage with them, ask them, look, all of these things we're chasing, running after, all of these material possessions, all of this, make more money, have a nice house, have a nice car. You do realize, you're not going to take this with you when you die. When you die, you're going to go into your grave. None of this is going to come with you. So what's the real point of struggling and striving towards it when at the end of the day, it's all going to be left behind? What is the point? It's almost like you're working for something which is a mirage. You're just chasing an illusion and it's never going to be yours because it's going to be taken away from you. So why work so hard? Why spend so much time on this? Could this be the real purpose of your life if it's going to be taken away from you? So these types of questions will really get people to start.
Definitely, I think coming from a different angle rather than maybe coming straight at them with this is why God exists, but maybe getting them to really think about those higher questions.
You're breaking up again, bro, slightly, I think. Maybe
yeah, there's a comment saying that there's lots of echo on your side.
Okay. I don't have a headphone. Sorry, bro. What I'll do is I'll get closer, and that'll probably help with the echo.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Sure.
But I was thinking that's the point. I think maybe coming straight at that person with arguments for God's existence, maybe won't work. And I think, like I said,
Richard,
yeah.
Move closer. When you're closer, bro, I can hear you clearly. When you move away, yeah, I can hear you now. Perfect.
Yeah, it's because it's not using my headset. Like 2 seconds. What about now?
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Is that good?
Clear.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I think it's because it was using the wrong headset. Maybe. How is this audio?
It's quite clear. Yeah.
Is it? How is it now?
Now you're it's not sync, so your mouth's moving first, and I can hear you after.
What about now?
Say something.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, there's a bit of a lag, so you're speaking first, and the audio is coming later.
Sorry, man. Try something. Okay, that's why I need to select this. This should be clear now. Is it still laggy?
It's still laggy. Yep.
Okay, 2 seconds. Let me just. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I don't know what happened. It was really clear until I went off. Okay, now or still?
Yeah, it's better now. It's not lagging.
Okay. Yeah, what I was saying is, I think it's better to maybe speak with someone who is unsure about those questions that you're asking about what's the purpose in life and why are certain things happening around us. Because I think, like you were saying, especially with the current coronavirus and the current situation, people are thinking a lot more about those bigger questions.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. It's a very natural way to go into a discussion as well, because lots of people, everyone asks that question about purpose and meaning in life at some point, right? If you think about it, we're purpose-driven creatures. So everything we do is with a purpose. And when we look at things around us, we notice purpose in things. When we make things with purpose. So it's a very natural point of discussion when it comes to these things. Well, if everything around you has purpose, if we make things with purpose, if every other aspect of your life is purpose driven, like waking up in the morning to going to work, studying, etc., then what about the purpose of the existence? What's the purpose of your life? What's that all about? So I think it's a very powerful question, and a lot of people have already thought about it, but they haven't found answers. So what they do, most people are good at just brushing it aside. But then
Definitely, yeah.
the other people, they can't brush it aside. It just gets fixed in their head, and they keep thinking about that question. And it's amazing because even in the Quran, Allah, the core message of Islam revolves around a central theme, which is to do with the purpose of human existence, which is where Allah tells us that He created us to worship Him. So it's amazing that the Quran addresses that central question that human beings have, which is, what is my purpose? Who am I? Why am I here? That's exactly what Islam addresses, what the Quran addresses, and everything else in the Quran revolves around that central theme. Basically, the rest of the Quran is there to facilitate us fulfilling the purpose of our lives. And that's the mercy of God, subhanAllah. So that's what we need to share with people.
Are there any sort of resources, any good books or any readings that you'd recommend for somebody just maybe to read up on? Maybe they're having discussions with their friend who is an atheist, is an agnostic. Are there any certain readings or videos they should watch to sort of gain more knowledge before debating or discussing?
So like I said, so the first point of call will be that basic Dawah training course. So you can do that on the IERA portal. Once you've done that and you feel like you need a bit more, then you've got Hamza's book, The Divine Reality. That will basically cover all of the bases as far as discussing with atheists and agnostics and presenting Islam to such people. Between those, I think you'll be good. You'll be good to go as far as atheism and agnosticism is concerned. Even when it comes to Christianity, I mean, it covers the stuff. The same things apply, right?
Yeah,
the only difference would be with Christianity, the only difference would be you focus on the oneness of God and clarifying Tawheed to the best of your ability. Whereas with atheists, you will start off with God's existence.
So, Imran, are there any in your time, in the many years you've given Dawah, are there any beneficial stories you want to share? Any maybe Dawah trips? Did you go to South America? Is there any sort of stories you want to share?
No. But I've not done many trips. But one of the standout trips for me actually was one of the ones we went recently. You and me went to.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that.
It was a very, very interesting trip because there was. You just realize how valuable it is, just and the stuff. To be honest, look, we're not scholars, bro. We're not mashayikh. We're not students. We're not even students of knowledge. If we're being very serious and honest about it, right? At least not myself. I can't speak for myself.
No, definitely not.
But what you notice is that the content that we cover in regards to atheism, to do with agnosticism, to do with Christianity, to do with presenting Islam in a very simple and practical way to non-Muslims. This is something that Muslims need, right? And as you knew, the engagements that we had during that time.
So we both went to Netherlands recently to sort of do a full 2-day intensive atheism Dawah training. Yeah. And like you said, some of the questions that even Muslims had were like worrying to think, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you saw the whole spectrum. You saw people that really benefited from it, and they had those sort of light bulb moments and the penny drop moments, and they've really felt like they took something that they could take away and now go and engage in that all with people. But then obviously there was the other side of the spectrum where you saw that Muslims even have questions, right? And the same answers apply to Muslims as they do to non-Muslims. So when you go through this Dawah training course and when you you think, okay, I'm going to get involved in this, also know that this content will also benefit people in your families, people that that are Muslim that may have questions. The same answers apply across the board. So what would benefit people, non-Muslims, will also benefit the Muslims too.
Definitely, I think a lot of the things as well that we discussed on that course. I often assume that many people know this stuff, but I think as I really realized from that weekend is a lot of this content is brand new to people. A lot of the maybe a lot of how to deal with a lot of the arguments. A lot of people haven't really thought of it from those perspectives.
Yeah.
And
that trip was really beneficial. I think, again, like you said, to see people, they really got the concepts, and it's really going to help them. But also to see that there are many Muslims out there that have questions themselves and are looking for answers out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and to be honest, it's always rewarding when you try to go out and you try to do something like this, and try to be as sincere as you can be. To be honest, this is one of the things about getting involved in da'wah is it's hard to explain as to the benefits and how it can change you and shape you as a person. When you get involved in the da'wah, it's something experiential, as Islam is. When you do it, when you get involved, then the way the things happen and unfold, it almost strengthens your faith as well. Because in the da'wah, you'll see some amazing things. You'll hear of some amazing stories, people becoming Muslim, people taking shahada. It'll just blow your mind when you think about it. Like even recently, I'll give you an example on the chat, the chat service that we have now on the One Reason page. There was a guy that came on, and basically, just the way it happened, he was in London, so he spoke to an agent that was in another part of the world, and he said that I want to speak to someone in London. So Salahuddin was on at that. He happened to be on. Salahuddin Patel was the head in IERA. He happened to be online at that point. So he took the guy's details. He contacted the guy. So they started talking. And then as they got talking, he was like, I want to be Muslim. He was ready, and he wanted to take his shahada. And as they got talking, he realized that this guy that was on the phone that wanted to become Muslim, about a year ago, he lived literally 2 minutes down the road from Salahuddin himself.
Whoa.
Yeah, and literally like on the same street or something.
Yeah.
And then, subhanAllah, so when you think about it, and he took shahada with him, and then he asked him, he said, so how did you find out about our chat service, right? How did you find out about IERA? He said, a few weeks ago, I went into a forum, right, where this guy told me to go onto, and this guy's name was some sort of forum name, and he said, go to the IERA website. And when he was mentioning this story, Mohsin, who was listening to the story, he's like, yeah, I was that guy. So it fell into place. It's like two guys from IERA are speaking to him without knowing that they're speaking to him at different times. And this guy lived next to a brother for so many years, like literally 2 minutes away, but they never bumped into each other. And then it was just as when Allah attended for him to become Muslim, now he had moved away, but Allah got him in touch with us. He facilitated the means for him to come to Islam. And it's such stories just really blow your mind, man. SubhanAllah.
Oh, that's crazy. I think that's the point that, even if you give a leaflet, a Quran, and someone may take that away, you don't know if they're going to go home and read that, and then they're going to reach out to some other Muslims, and where it's going to go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we've heard stories. Like I heard a story a while back where there was a brother who became Muslim, and he was a binman. So he was cleaning out the bins one morning, and he lifted the lid of one of the bins, and he saw a book on top of the bin, and he didn't know what the book was, but he said he had a feeling that this book is too pure and precious to be in the bin. So he just put it in his pocket, took it home with him. It was the Quran. He read it, became Muslim. Now, what's interesting is, bro, that copy of the Quran most likely came from a dawah table, right?
Yeah.
Because what happens, we have dawah material and we have Qurans. Sometimes non-Muslims take it. As soon as they realize, it's Muslim, it's to do with Islam.
Get rid of it, yeah.
They chuck in the bin. So that's probably what happened. And so it was amazing just the way, people can get guided, and those brothers at that table that day, they probably went home thinking no one became Muslim, right? Or no one, took the shahada, but little do they know, someone picked up the Quran that someone threw away from the table that led them to become a Muslim. And on the day of judgment, now that's going to be on their scales of good deeds.
And that person would have never thought that would happen, that's how it would happen. It's crazy. I think touching upon the, mentioning people accepting Islam, obviously one of the things that I do within IDC is support new Muslims. For yourself, what sort of advice would you give to somebody who becomes Muslim, or somebody who's more trying to practice the religion? What advice would you give to them?
So the biggest advice I give to new Muslims or people that are trying to practice their religion is take things slow, right? Take it step by step. Don't overwhelm yourselves, right? Because what ends up happening, you get burnout. Some people go in too hard, too fast, right? And they get burnt out. And we see this in Ramadan with Muslims as well. We go in too fast, too hard, first couple of days, and by the end of the first week, you're just finished, right? So take things step by step. You don't have to do everything overnight. If there's only one thing you're going to focus on initially, just focus on your prayer. Learn how to pray and learn how to do that properly, right? And make sure you're connecting with Allah. Because when you start connecting with Allah, you start praying regularly, you'll notice that Allah gives you the strength to be able to do all of the other bits and pieces. Like everything else falls into place. Over time, you start to do all the things that you thought were impossible for you to do. But it only happens when you have a list of priorities and you do what's most important, which is to learn how to pray and connect with Allah. That's the most important thing after taking Shahada. Just focus on the prayer, everything else will fall into place. The second piece of advice I give to new Muslims is don't let Muslims get to you, right? Now, obviously, we want new Muslims to have a good support network. We want them to be around Muslims, but they have to be very careful because, unfortunately, what ends up happening is, and it's a very sad reality that sometimes some of our Muslim brothers and sisters could be very negative as far as the treatment of new Muslims is concerned, from the perspective that they just tell them to do everything all at once. And if that's not the case, then they will pick at the smallest mistakes that they make, right? And they'll try to correct them with every single small thing, right? Which really, it will throw anyone off for that matter. And especially, you have to realize new Muslims, they have sacrificed a lot, right? For the sake of Allah, and Allah will reward them for it, but they have given up a lot and they're probably facing loads of challenges, loads of difficulties, family, friends, their community. The last thing you want to do is make them feel unwelcome by making them feel like they're doing everything wrong, right? And to be honest, we need to reflect upon ourselves sometimes, because there's probably 101 things that we're doing wrong that if people start picking at them, we'll be wrong, right?
Agitated as well.
But we don't think about this, unfortunately. We just want to correct them with every small thing. No, just let them be. And especially if you're a new Muslim and you're coming across brothers and sisters like this, I would say avoid that company. Try to find better company, right? If you're a Muslim brother or sister who wants to advise people and you don't realize you're doing this, don't do this, right? You want to make it easy for people. The best thing you could do is just advise them to focus on the basics and let them do that well. Let them do that properly before you advise them to do other things, inshallah. So just take your time. That's what I say. Let them take their time. And new Muslims need to take their time with stuff, right? Go at your own pace, one step at a time, and everything also fall into place, inshallah.
Definitely. I think on my show yesterday, that's what I talked about, becoming Muslim and some advice I would give. And the key one was take it step by step. And I think really learn the foundations. Learn, Tawheed, the oneness of Allah. Learn Salah. Learn the 5 pillars. Yep. And you're really from that point, you're going to grow in your faith. But I think you give some good advice there. Is often Muslims, out of good intention, they want to help, they want to do good, but they often end up confusing you. You go to make wudu, and one person says this, another person says this, and you're just confused at the end.
Yeah. To be honest, I've heard some horror stories, bro. Like literally horror stories when it comes to, the way some new Muslims have been treated by Muslims. I'll give you an example. The only reason I give this example is to really make people aware that stuff like this is happening and not to fall into that same trap again. So, for example, recently, I won't mention where I was, but it was somewhere in Birmingham. I went to see a brother, and he was telling me, because he takes care of new Muslims, right? He focuses on new Muslim support. So he was telling me that there's communities where new Muslims come into the community. They went to one specific case. A brother went to the mosque, and the brothers there locally, they basically started to ask him questions about his personal life. Is he in a relationship, etc.
Wow.
Which I don't see why that would be one of the first things to focus on anyway. And they started asking him, and he's like, "Yeah, I have a girlfriend. I live with her." Okay, so that's not, it's not right according to Islam, obviously. But consider that this is a new Muslim. They need a bit of time. Let them do the basics first. Everything will slowly fall into place. They're like, no. They started discussing, and they asked him, "Okay, is she Christian?" He said, "Yes." They said, "Okay, it's fine. Go do your nikah." Right? So, listen, and the brother, Allah bless him, he was very sincere, and he went and he did that. A couple of days, he got his nikah done, and then he went back to the mosque, and now they're discussing whether she's actually Christian or not, right? And then they come back to him. He's like, no, it's not valid. You need to go. You need to give a dawah first. You need to become. Wow. You give the guy a break.
Does he know the basics? Does he know Salah?
This is a crime, honestly. Wallahi, bro, this is a crime against our new Muslim brothers and sisters. You can't be treating. Imagine someone treated you like that when you started practicing, right? I mean, you probably wouldn't be where you are today if that was
Yeah,
the
I doubt
case.
that.
Give people time. You got to realize they're coming from a whole other world. They've been living an entirely different life. You know, they're accustomed to that life. You can't pull people out of that immediately. Main thing is get them to focus on the prayer. Once they connect to Allah, when they start developing their relationship with Allah, Allah will give them the strength to be able to do other things. And when you feel, and you need to apply wisdom here, when you feel it's the right time, then give them other bits and pieces to do, right? So one step at a time. One step at a time is very, very key. Don't push people. And again, it boils down to this, bro, lack of emotional intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Lack of emotional intelligence that we don't understand the situation of the people that we're talking to.
I think that's
You know?
I think it's important in all of Dawah having that emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Not just new Muslims, even with everybody, even Muslims, non-Muslims. The best way to approach topics, the best way to discuss issues, you need to really understand that person's situation and what they're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just be sensitive, be empathetic, you know, be nice, be gentle with new Muslims. You know, take care of them, make sure they're okay, support them. Don't push them out of Islam, right?
Definitely.
I know it's a very harsh way of saying it, but that is the reality, and that's what we're seeing happening. Many times it's the Muslims that are pushing the new Muslims out of Islam, just because of all of that pressure and all of that sort of, do this, do this, do this, do this. That's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. That's the wrong approach. Don't do that. They already have enough challenges. Just let them take their time. Support them, take care of them, don't push them.
Good. So Imran, you have yourself. You have a channel called Epistemics.
Yeah.
Where did that name come from, and what was the goal or the aim behind that channel? Would you say?
So that particular channel, the main focus of that channel is to engage with non-Muslims, but it's more focused towards the atheists, right? So more focused towards atheism. I touch upon some bits of Christianity every now and then. And it's mainly about just getting the message of Islam out to non-Muslims a bit. So it's not on a super academic level,
Yeah.
but it's not on it's in between that sort of basic level and the super academic level. So it's almost on that popular level.
So people can relate to it and
yeah. So it's about dealing with contentions, dealing with sort of arguments that are presented by some of these sort of aggressive atheists such as Richard Dawkins and Sam Harris, etc., etc. So that's the focus of that channel.
Also, it's called Epistemics.
Yeah, Epistemics. That's Epistemics. It's spelled a bit different.
So got a comment here is that a sister commented, giving you Muslims the time to learn their deen and solidify their knowledge also means they've got protection against someone who wants to marry a revert to put their own version of Islam on them, thinking that a revert doesn't know what true Islam is and what it isn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think definitely giving them that time to learn. And there is that assumption sometimes that maybe a revert doesn't know the basics.
Yeah.
But sometimes I know myself, you can meet many brothers who weren't born Muslim, but they know so much more than people that were born Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
And you may judge it based on their appearance and how they look, that's not the case.
Yeah. And to be honest, it's one of those sad things. No one should be taking the advantage of anyone else anyway, right? You shouldn't be taking advantage of people in any way, shape, or form. Let alone when it comes to Islam. It just doesn't make any sense. Again, same principle. Give people time, respect them. Simple exercises. Put yourself in their shoes, and ask yourself the question: how would you want to be treated in this situation, right? And then just apply that same treatment to others.
Definitely. Okay, Jalal Khan, Imran, for coming on. Alhamdulillah, it's been a good show. If people want to, listen to more of your content, they can go to your YouTube channel, Epistemics. They can also check out the IERA YouTube page and the website.
Yep.
Is that correct? Any other places?
OneReason.org. So if you've got any non-Muslims that you want to send, so someone that's trained can speak to them, send them to OneReason.org/AVA.
Cool, awesome. Okay, Jazakallah khair for coming on. Alhamdulillah, it was a good discussion. And brothers and sisters, this has been From Darkness to Light. Inshallah, tomorrow's show, I'll be back at 6 o'clock, and I'll be with our convert brother Alex. He'll be sharing his story of he accepted Islam when he was over 60, so he's going to be sharing a story of how he came to learn about Islam how he became Muslim, and a bit about the support that IDC have been giving him and the various brothers and the various masjids. So please do tune in tomorrow, 6 o'clock, from darkness to light. This has been Newcastle Fast FM. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Islam.